You're making this sound relatively easy. I mean, you're pretty...
Well, it's not. I'm not going to lie.
Right. I mean,
It's tough. Try sitting on the couch while we're playing NC State at home. And I was wondering if any of my neighbors noticed as I kept going out and walk around the house, and, you know, I'm really not, I don't know if Norberto really wants me watching the game. And so I have to explain to him that I'm not yelling at the television. I'm not throwing things at, you know, at every call. You know, a big part of my recovery is to try to make sure to help my blood vessel wall heal, is maintain a normal blood pressure. So that means I can't drive, which the way some people drive and cut you off. I'm just kidding. You know what I'm saying. That's a big part of it. So that's the hardest part of it, because I'd like to go to practice right now. You know, and for me, it's not going to be easy. I'm well aware of that. But what I want my team to know is we're not going to take this as an excuse, because it's about the guys. At the end of the day, this is Jermaine Sanders. G-Lon's going through a tough year because he's got an unusual injury to his finger where he can't shoot, he can't catch the ball. But, you know, Jermaine Sanders, I mean, this is his last year. You know, it's not, from what, I'm dealing with some pretty smart people that tell me if I'm smart, they expect this to heal. Very fortunate without surgery. But it's their last year, and that's what I want to be the focus to be on. Plus, we've worked really hard to get to where we're at with this program. We got a great young team that's going to continue to develop. We got recruits coming in, and this is obviously a little unusual, but it could be a lot worse is how I look at it. I mean, I got plenty of examples, Doc. I mean, you got Lauren Hill and Devin Still's daughter. I mean, when you really think about it, when you walk out of there, you walk out of a neurosurgeon's office and they tell you you just need a little rest, take a little blood pressure medicine just to be safe, even though my blood pressure is low, other than when I'm coaching. I mean, that's a pretty good diagnosis. You know, I'm sure almost everybody would walk out of there happy with that diagnosis. But for me, obviously, it's not being able to coach. It's not going to be easy. I'm not going to lie. That's going to be a tough one. I heard Jerry West, I think I read in his book, that he used to drive around the 405 during the Laker games back in the day when he was the GM of the Lakers, because he couldn't stand to watch it at times. So, you know, that part of it will be tough. But I understand we're not going to win every game, and I'm just going to try to focus on helping to continue the development of our team and our program as I can analytically. But I got to be smart. You know, if I'm having days where maybe I'm feeling tired, or it's going to be unusual. So I'm used to being tired, used to being overworked in January and February, you know, used to being around the team in the gym. It's not easy. Like yesterday, met with the team, talked about what, you know, they won the NC State game with great preparation. You know, it was all positive, but we got a quick turnaround and a big game coming up. They go to practice and I got to walk out. I mean, that's not easy. But, you know, I can walk up to my office and watch film. I just try to focus on the positive. It could be a lot worse.
Toward the end of the San Diego State game, there was a kind of a phantom call that might have upset you somewhat. In fact, you were going crazy. In retrospect, have you thought about those moments in connection with what you have going on in your head? I mean, the blood pressure could not have been any higher at that point.
Yeah, you know, I just obviously, yeah, sure. You thank God I had symptoms. Well, really, with me, it's thank God I had the symptoms of the headaches, because the more you know about people, because technically I don't have an aneurysm, I have an arterial dissection, but you know, we're splitting hairs. At the end of the day, when you talk, like I talked to Bob Wenzel, who was in town to do Xavier's game the other night, and he went down with an exploded aneurysm during a game. You know, you know, so many people, you hear so many stories about stuff like that. You know, so fortunately for myself, I had symptoms.
Do you anticipate when you do come back healthy next year, you have to change? I
was wondering if somebody was going to ask me that. You know, I think it'd only be natural. First of all, it never hurts to mature. You know, but then you think, you know, I think about guys like Greg Popovich, who, you know, has been known as the best in our business. He still gets pretty upset at times. And I've had, like I said, I've had candid discussions with my doctors about, and flat out asked them, you know, what, you know, do I need to seek another profession? And like I said, you know, one of them started laughing, talking about, well, you're going to be able to drive, and people, you get upset all different ways. But no, they don't know why this stuff like this happens. It's not because I was yelled at a referee. It could be a multitude of different things. One of our specialists thinks it has his opinions. These guys are smarter than smart of the length of arteries. There's so many different things. But no, they don't. They think I'll be fine. The one good thing about these guys, they don't care who I am, and they would tell me. And I've asked them to be 100% honest with me. So no, they don't think that's the case. Once I'm healthy, it is onward and upward. But it probably would be conducive to all coaches if we got a little more rest and maybe didn't blow as many gaskets. But
who from the coaching community has reached out to you since then?
it's maybe who hasn't.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's where why I'm here. I apologize. I haven't had a chance to get back to anybody or to everybody. Excuse me. It's too many people. It's just way too many people. Some people are that I'm extremely close with, like Rick Pitino, and Kevin Willard, that give me no choice. They're going to call until I pick it up. And then with what I've asked the staff to do is make sure that they spread the word I'm okay. But it was important. That's why I wanted to get here, because I need to eliminate phone calls. I need to eliminate phone calls. And I need to eliminate any doubt of what the situation is.
Now, can you describe the meeting, the morning of the VCU game, when you didn't have the answers?
It was that whole time period was so unusual, because you have two focuses: one, your health, and two, I changed some things. If I had it to do over, and I'd have known what I was obviously hoping, that when I got out of an MRI tube at midnight. Our medical community, I had specialists that were reading my MRIs and MRAs at midnight on Friday night, on Saturday morning at 7 a.m., which I really appreciated. But obviously I was hoping they would, being who you are, you're hoping they're going to say, hey, you're all right, go ahead, coach the game, and you just move on. But if I was a little bit smarter, I probably should have said, listen, I'm going to just take the next 3 days and get evaluated, let the staff prepare for VCU and coach the game, and that way we would have had a better chance. But again, you're not thinking, the last thing you're thinking is that you're going to get ruled out. So it was like I was told I can't coach, and then like literally I had to meet with the staff and then the team. So while I was driving in that morning for the game, because it was an early game, so it was really wasn't much time to think about it. I just wanted to get the guys. I'd say, hey, I'm going to be okay, but I can't coach, which I'm sure they didn't believe me. I know my coaches didn't believe me. I think my coaches were probably being a little bit older and knowing you're talking about stuff in somebody's head. They were. Now, that being said, VCU played really well. I watched the game, and they got a good team. So I don't know if we had come off cloud 9 from the win against San Diego State, because we got a team that hasn't been through this whole grind together. So like that's our challenge this week. From my new title as president and GM was you got to be able to handle success. It was obviously a great game the other day on the road and under tough circumstances, but the circumstances aren't the issue. And that's why I want to eliminate my health situation. It's about our season from here on out. I can help Larry and do the radio show with you. That makes it easier on Larry, because obviously with Larry and Darren and Antoine, this is going to be a lot harder for them. But I'm still with them analytically. From a game prep and analysis and stuff. But yeah, it was different.
Do you sense that Larry may inadvertently walk on eggshells around you? Would you explain?
No, see, that's the thing about Larry. We've been friends for 25 years, and that's why I don't I told the guys from day, I'm not gonna, you gotta let these guys coach. And Larry's gotta be Larry. He's been a head coach for 9 years, and he's comfortable with who he is. He tells a few more stories than I do, so the guys are gonna have to get used to that. You know, my goal is to make Larry coach of the year. You know, that's Darren, Antoine, the rest of us, our goal is all to make Larry coach of the year in the American. You know, and you know, again, this could be a lot worse, so I'm taking the positive from it. And you know, like I said, you know, Larry and I are extremely close. We laughed about it the other day and said, you know, what haven't we been through here together? Like, we went back all the way back to Hernal Hall being declared ineligible, to Mike Williams' Achilles, snapping his Achilles, to Kashmir Wright's going to help us when we were in desperate, and then he comes in as freshman year and tears his ACL. You know, from AD, you know, changing ADs and presidents. I mean, Larry and I have been through a lot here. So, you know, this is just minor. They just get to hear, guys get to hear his voice, and, you know, we have a really close staff, so we coach as a staff anyway. If you were, you know, the people that have been in our practices, those guys coach. It's not like they just stand there. So, you know, I want, the guy's he's got to be himself. You know, like he's calling me 2 hours before the NC State game. Are you got any last second reminders? And said, you got to be yourself. You know, you got to coach. You know, I'm not going to second guess him. See, advantage, he has a guy that gets second guessed for a living. So I know what not to do to him. So my goal is to make him as comfortable as I can, and make this as easy as I can on everybody involved.
So, Coach, it sounds like you have to self-monitor. So what is your confidence about your self-limiter, you know, as you watch the game tomorrow and then the other game?
Well, technically, I may not watch it, because Norberto might be listening to this, my new friend. Dr. Andaluz may be listening to this. So, you know, I have Xanax in case I need it to take. You know, I'm not a big pill guy. So for me, taking a blood pressure pill's new, you know, and an aspirin. But you got to be smart. You know, I would like to think, for me, you got to remember, I have a daughter. You know, so for me, she needs her dad, you know, to be healthy and around. So, also, you know, Dan's with me a lot. You know, I kid around a lot about, you know, people that go to games and yell. Nobody hears you. So nobody's going to hear me. You know, so as I'm there, you know, so people know, yeah, I could be at the game, but that would just make it harder on me, you know, from a, you know, maintaining a normal BP standpoint. And I may have to adjust. I don't know. I mean, I may have to go for walks, may have to shut it off. My sister does an interesting one. She DVR, because she's busy and she's an intellectual. She's a dean of students at Summit Country Day. She goes, just do what I do. I DVR all the games. That way I know if you won. When I go back and watch it, I don't get upset. I said, I don't think that's going to work.
We have time for about one more question, if there are any.
Well, I'll ask it. So your players.
Yes.
When you told your players the final, you know, what was going to happen over the next 3 months, how did they respond? How did they react?
Well, they know kind of what's going on, and they've known, but my message to them has been, no matter who's standing here, like the way we do things, it's not about whether I'm standing there or not. Like that doesn't determine the outcome. And this isn't new for us. Like we preach that all the time, that they decide the outcome. That each team every year is different. Their development is going to be based off of their commitment, their performance, their preparation. And what they do one game won't carry over to the next. They have to continue to do it, grind it out, stay focused. And my goal is to get this over with and you know, not press my doctors, hey, can you check me out sooner so I can get back? I mean, pretty much in my case, it's a minimum of 3 months, and they're hoping, because I have a slighter tear in my dissection, that's the case. And obviously, I'm going to take that as my goal is I'm getting back in the fastest time possible. But you know, for them, I don't want them. I don't want this to be any excuse at all for them. to hinder our development as a team this year, or their individual development. You know, the hardest thing for me would be Jermaine Sanders and G. Now G's out, and it's really tough on G. But you know, I still get I still text the guys, you know, trying to pump them up before the game. If anything, you know, it's going to make me a lot more positive because I don't see any of the bad stuff at practice. You know, it's going to be, you know, I just try to focus on their mental state and making sure that they're help them grind through this process, because we have a new team this year and they really haven't been through this as a group. But you know, how they're going to react, I can tell you this: it's not going to be our crutch. It's not going to be our excuse as a program of what goes on during our season this year. That's my message to them, because they have more than capable guys that are coaching them on every dribble, every pass, every defensive rotation. And I can still sit in meetings with them and analytically show them stuff, so it's not like I'm going to be totally detached. Right now I'm not doing X. I want them to get used to Larry being in charge and Darren being more assertive and Antoine being more assertive. But I definitely don't want them to think in any way, shape, or form that this should be at all an excuse for the outcome of our season and the development of our team.
The truth is, with Bill Cook moving on, you just
Yeah.
can't bear to not coach with him.
You know, I figured if Bill was going off into the sunset, you know, the question is, I'll leave you with this, is am I going to have to reapply for my job like everybody else?
Came out well, though.
Like that? Hey, like I said, my job is to make Larry Coach of the Year, and you know, my feeling is I was lucky when he came with me. The only reason Larry came, he was highly successful, guys, at Furman. He was just underpaid. I was able to give him a huge raise to come here with me. You know, and the only reason Darren Savino's here with me is because he doesn't apply for jobs. You know, and Antoine Jackson got started later in coaching. So the strength of our staff, I think you're going to see how strong these guys are. But I appreciate it. I know Larry, you guys might want to hit Larry. Get him used to this, bang him out.